Hi, everyone. It's Diana. I'm sitting here with our managing partner, Sandra Ziskin, and our victims advocate, Cassandra Harvey. Today, we're discussing sex trafficking and the warning signs surrounding sex trafficking and what you can look out for.
What's more terrifying to me, and Cassandra can speak to this better than I can, is once they get you, it's the getting out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's the getting out. And I think predators are so good at the manipulation that it's often hard to get these victims to come forward and to speak about it, because I mean, you can talk to a bit better about all the fear that you felt.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really hard to get out, especially when you are deep into it. For me, I was trafficked by 3 different people. There was a trafficking ring. One of the other girls ended up coming forward and was able to put those people away. Wow. But some of them didn't, right? Because, there's obviously different things that go on in the criminal legal system, the flaws and the cracks and everything. But I think it's very, very difficult to get out. There was times where I had a very prominent Toronto rapper reach out to me when I was posting photos of me in a hotel, and he's like, "Oh, I can make you money. Look at me. I'm famous. I have all of this money."
Right.
And had I not been with the traffickers that I was with at the time, I genuinely believe if I'd gone to him, I would have died. I would have died in that lifestyle.
Right.
Because when you get out, trauma bonds develop with your traffickers. So
that's a big thing, I'm assuming.
Yeah, for me, I was in love. I genuinely thought this was the person I'm going to marry. I'm going to have more kids. I'm going to be happy.
That he loved you just as much as you loved him.
Yeah. And I loved him more than I loved myself. And when that happens, it's very, very hard to see a way out. And had it not been for the organizations that were supporting me at the time, and then the help of the police, I never would have made it out of that lifestyle. And even to this day, there's times where I'm oh my gosh, what, before working here, I'm what am I going to do if I can't find meaningful employment?
Right.
And I knew, well, I can always go back to that lifestyle. My traffickers still reach out to me. I can still go back there if I need to. And if, the circumstances are there. But I think that's the part that no one really focuses on. We're so focused on the crisis, but it's what happens, 5-10 years down the road when you're still struggling.
Yeah.
And
you
then
said that
you
you were
want to go
making
back.
you also were making the monetary thing that were the money that was coming in for you was also, I guess, attractive at the time, or helpful, or I guess to your situation at the time.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to scale back from that and go back to that hourly paying job versus that. But you said that there was other organizations supporting you, but you were still in it. So how does that work? How does that dynamic work?
So I actually my trafficker would drop me off at my therapy appointments. That it's really hard to tell people and have people understand. I started in group therapy, so I knew that I needed help. I knew that something was wrong. I didn't necessarily know what, but I was let me just do group therapy, see what what comes out of it.
Yeah, maybe other people are talking about the same thing.
Even in group therapy, looking back, I'm still connected with a lot of the women and we're still friends. And they were Cassandra, you defended that man, your life depended on it. You would die for him. And to see where I am now, is crazy. But yeah, he would drop me off. He would pick me up. He knew where I was at all times. But slowly, even though he was still very much in my life, I was also slowly getting closer to my workers at the time and to my peers who saw that something was wrong, knew something was wrong, but they kept that open door.
Because now you have other voices in your head telling you this is not right. And then you're but I love him, but this is not right.
But by the way, we've all been there. We all had completely toxic relationships when we were younger, when we didn't know better. When we're but he loves me, right? When he was super jealous or super whatever, and all the little red, I had a boyfriend.
But he wouldn't buy me this thing if he didn't love me.
Right, he only, I still remember this, and, I was maybe 20, 21, and he said, I was making eye contact with the waiter. So I was flirting with the waiter, right? I was flirting with the waiter because I made eye contact with him. And you're right. We make excuses and we say, no, he really loves me, or else he wouldn't be like that. And I think, it's so important that young women, and it's part of empowering young women in the next generation to understand what's normal and what's not normal and what should feel normal. And, this whole myth of oh, you have to have butterflies and feel this like excitement every time. No, that's toxic.
No, that's your body telling
you. That's your body telling you run away. And trying to teach, and that's one thing I try to teach my kids is that you want the person in your life that brings you peace, that brings you quiet. You don't want the extreme emotional reactions. That means it's toxic. You want the peace and the quiet. And I think, even society to some extent teaches us that you're supposed to overcome and have these boundaries. Every romantic comedy, you have these boundaries, and then you get together despite all odds, and he changes. Right? And nobody changes. And nobody changes. So it goes from my situation, obviously, nowhere near Cassandra's. Cassandra's is extreme of that. But I think when you're in it, you're like, no, of course he loves me. Because, and it's also the abusive cycle, right? Even if it's not physical abuse, it's emotional abuse. It's like I'm gonna use you. I'm going to be horrible to you, but then I'm gonna buy you a bracelet.
And I think aside from the love aspect was the money. To go from making $10,000 to $15,000 a night. To then going to working minimum wage is like you're smacked in the face with reality. And then for me, I was in and out of that game for so long because I would go and get a job. I was working as a cashier, and I'm like, why am my feet hurt? I'm tired. I don't want to be standing here for 8 hours to make, $16 an hour. So then my trafficker knew that. He was like, hey, we can go make $10,000 right now and we'll be fine,
and
right?
He played on your vulnerabilities and that financial,
for sure.
The financial insecurity.
Listen, and when you need to, and no judgment, when you need to put food on the table, it's desperate times. You have children, you have things to do. There's a lot of women in that situation, and you need to put food on the table. And it's so funny. I was just watching that show, that new Netflix show with what's called Margot has money troubles, where she starts OnlyFans to feed her kid. I mean, women need desperate times call for desperate measures, unfortunately, sometimes. And if you don't have the resources, you don't know who to reach out to, and here's a person offering you a solution, as vile as it might be, in the time you're like, I got to do it.
When you're exiting that lifestyle, you go from making a lot of money, but then there's no meaningful employment for survivors. This is such a huge gap where we've exited, we're healing, we're on our new journey, and we're often asked to share our story and to do all of these things, but then it never goes anywhere.
So that's exactly why the lawsuits become important. So the thing that I'm trying to get across with a lot of the victims is yes, the criminal system let you down. You couldn't get what you need in the criminal system, but if we sue and if we're able to get money, you can use that. And one of the things we do sue for is vocational retraining, is for university, is for going back education, because you're right. You come out now with no skills,
especially if you're in it from the age of 13 and you get out of it at a later stage.
I mean, I was groomed at 14. Had I had a normal life trajectory, I would have been I could have been working here as an associate
already. You still will. You still will.
But when you say that, so from a criminal perspective, you were saying that, I guess that with your trafficker in that case, he was obviously, I'm assuming they're out now and they're still...
He was out on bail at least 10 times.
Right. And for Sandra, from a civil perspective, you were just saying that with your lawsuits and what you do, essentially you're taking a different avenue for justice for these people. My question to you is, what are you looking for, in terms of when somebody Cassandra, who's just come out of this now, and she's just the criminal justice system did nothing for her. It didn't really help her because that guy's still out there, probably grooming a new crop of young girls or boys. We don't know. How do you make the buck stop in terms of let's say, I don't know, who would you go after in that case? After hearing her story, for instance.
Yeah, so it's really hard. So what we have to do is look at the whole life story and find institutions and people along the way where we can actually go after them. So whether it's hotels, whether it's social workers, where it's psychologists that drop the ball, we have to basically look back at all of the institutions that essentially failed her along her journey, and then try to find them. Because listen, I can sue the trafficker, but I can sue the wall.
They have no money.
Correct, exactly. I can sue a rock.
But it's all undocumented.
Yeah,
they don't file their taxes.
No. What am I going to try to lean on? Like, there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
So, I'm one sexual assault case that I'm thinking about right now. The guy we actually had to sue him and the institution, and he was in jail. He was actually in jail, serving at a stint at the time. I had to serve him in jail. It was my first time serving somebody in jail. It was very interesting. But these people are not upstanding citizens where I can go and serve them at their home and then they come to court with their insurance. Yeah. So you got to find something along the way. It's often tricky, but we've had a lot of success.